Okay, Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to the BhagavatSanga program. So today we have His Grace Ram Tirtha Prabhu presenting on the same theme that we have been doing for a few weeks, King Prthu Maharaj's prayers from Canto 4, Chapter 20, verse 23 through 31. 23 to 31, that's a whole set of verses. And we have Ram Tirtha Prabhu presenting today. So Prabhu is a wonderful devotee, does many services. So Prabhu, please welcome to the BhagavatSanga for the presentation, and please go ahead, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you to Satsa Prabhu and Jisubra Mataji giving us the opportunities to speak on glories of Prthu Maharaj's prayers. We'll just have a quick prayers and we'll start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottamam Devam Sarvaswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Budirayet Srunmutam Swakrishna Punyasravana Kirtana Hrudayantayestu Abhadrani Vidunoti Surutsatam Nashtaprayesu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnana Chalakaya Takshurunmutam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Gam Langayate Girim Yat Krupatam Maham Vande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Te Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna devotees, thank you for joining this BhagavatSanga program. As we've been hearing about Prthu Maharaj's prayers for last several months, and sorry for me being the last person. So I'm sure you have already gone through the several presentation of devotees. So this time, instead of going by the verse by verse, I want to do the little bit different. So we'll look at that different angle, and then we'll look at the verses from the types of the prayers, how these prayers have different types. So in general, prayers have around 10 different types of elements, but mainly the four key elements of the prayers are, the first one is a Sampratnatmika, which is a direct prayer glorifying the Lord. And then the next one is Swadhyayana Bodhika, which is expressing the humility and then embarrassment, and then informing the position to the Lord, how we've forgotten about him. And then the third one is Vaishnava Mai Prakashika, which is basically revealing the greatness of the devotee, of the devotees of the Vaishnavas. And the last one is Lalsamai, where basically explaining our desire, how we wanted to serve the Lord in our spiritual body, or what's our desire. So these are the four different key types of elements in the prayer. So wanted to look at it from this perspective. Prthu Maharaj's prayers has covered in all these four different elements. So the first one is that the glorifying the Lord. So devotee never claims, or is possible to say, okay, I am the great, because everything is the credit of the because of the greatness of the Lord. So he always engaged in the glorifying the Lord. Even in Brahma Samhita, like Eko Pisya Chora Chaitam Jagadanda Koti Eschakchirastir Jagadanda Chayayantaha. He is the creator, Rachaiti, and then he has created many universes, and he is part of that universe, and in part of every atom, right? Andantarasa Paraman. So like that, in the Prthu Maharaj, in his prayers, in several of verses, glorifying the Lord. So in the very first verse, he has used Vibhu, Vibhu is, who is in omniscience, right? Omnipotent. He is all energetic. So, who can give us. So he was saying Varan Vibho the Varadeshwara. So you can give, because he is a Vibhu, Varan Vibho, then he says Varadeshwara. He can give the boons. Because if he is not the great, he is not omniscient, then they cannot give any benedictions. So that's what, he starts with Varan Vibho, Varadeshwara. Means you can give the boon. And then in Prthu Maharaj starts with, the Kaivalya Pate, which is that, he can give benediction of your merging into Brahman, like, so he can give that. So in the same words, so Varan Vibodva Varadeshwara Buddha Katan Rinete Gunavikrayatman Enarakanam Apishanti De Tane Sakaivalya Pate Vranena Cha. He is the one, can give all the boons, and he is the one, Tanisha, Kaivalya Pati, give, liberation. So that's the position he has established in the very beginning, what a Lord can give. And then in the third verse, he is explaining that Sauttama Sloke Mahatmukachito, means the devotees utter the Uttama, about the Lord, Uttama Sloka, because he is a choicest, the best verses, right? So that's what, he is using, that, glorifying the Lord as, Uttama Sloke. And in the sixth verse, Prabhu Maharaj explaining the Lord, the controller, Jagadisha, Jagat Jananyam, Jagadisha Vaisasam. He, oh Lord, you are the controller of everything. So just give me the mercy. So he's using that. And also he's using in that verse is Dina Vachala, which is basically that, he is the most favorable to the inclined poor, right? Dina Vachala. So those are the words, he uses it, that, establishing the Lord's position and then glorifying the Lord. So, and that's the Sampratnatika. So that establishes us how greatness of the Lord is, because if we do not understand the glories of the Lord, position of the Lord, then, we cannot surrender. So even us too, when we hear the prayers, so, glorification is the one that is purify us. So that's Sampratnatmika. The next one is the Swadhyayana Bodhika, which basically, expressing the humility and then, position of ourselves. It is not like, is not like we are degrading ourselves or, lowering ourselves. It is that, what the humility means is, to understand our position and understand the magnitude of the Lord and then the greatness of the devotee. That's what, is when we are talking about. So without humility, how much, we accomplish it, we will now, we are always, blocked by our false ego, right? False pride from the spiritual person. And the Prabhupada, in one of the verse, he mentions that, is that, we have anxiety, like, if we are not in humility, we always have anxiety, okay, being in a pride, right? So that's what he says even in the 13.8 verse in the Bhagavad Gita, there are 20 qualities of wisdom, and then the first one is mentioned about is, humility. So Prabhu Maharaj is a great devotee, and then, he's a great king, and he has many good qualities, but he uses very lot of words, like, that in expressing, especially the devotee of, what he should be doing it instead of what he is doing, so I believe in the verse third, he says, Sa uttama sloke mahatmukachito bhavat padhambuddha sudha kanani smritir punirva smrita tattva vartama kuyoginam no vitarati alambare. So he's saying that, we are forgotten, and then, because of the devotee, that, we can remember smriti punar, because, we will remember again. So means at one point, we are forgotten, and then we are not in the path of bhakti, kuyoginam, because we are not in the path of bhakti of this. So that's what, he is saying that, okay, we should have association because we have forgotten, and we should get our remembrance back and our position punar, smriti punar. You have to remember back again at what position. And then he uses, we are as an animal. If we do not hear it, pasum, in the fourth verse, he uses that as a katam gunagno virameda vinapasam. If we do not hear, if we seize our ears not hear, then it is like an animal. That's what Prabhupada uses. We are the two-legged animal, right? And then in the sixth verse, he's saying about Palgu, like I am most insignificant. When he's asking for a service and there is a competition with Lord Lakshmi, but you need my service because I'm the most insignificant. So Jagad Jananam Jagadisa Vaisasam Sadyeva Yat Karmanina Samitam Karosi Palgu Apayurudina Vachala Sa Eva Disye Virata Sakimtaya. Yes, Saro, Karo, Falgu. Okay, please, I'm the most insignificant, and then you are more, Dina Vachala, you can mercy. So that's the, he's setting himself to the lower, though he has a great devotee, has a practice, but he's saying his service is the most insignificant. That's the kind of state of mind. He's never have any false pride. Okay, me, I'm the best, right? So that's what he's saying. And then he is in the 8th verse, he's talking about that, okay, we are always entangled in this karma, always going again into attracted to the results of our material activities. Manye giram te jagatam vimohinam varam rishneti bhajatam atayet vacha nutanta edijinositaha katham puna karma karoti mohitaha. Katham puna, he's questioning us. I mean, in fact, I think 3 different places uses a katham. Katham puna, again, karma karoti, we are engaged in this material activities, and we are attracted, mohita, to those activities, and we are not interested in the devotion service. So he is setting up that even these words makes us realization of to understand our position and how much we are attracted into our material activities. And the next is the section is Prthu Maharaj is talk about is the devotees, association of devotees. He has glorified so much about in several verses, what one should have, to go into the path of bhakti is the association. Because without association, one cannot progress. One cannot progress. Even in fact, Krishna also wants us to reach to him through the devotees. Even in the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asking Ramananda Rai, what is the most painful kind of suffering? He says it is only because separation of the devotees. And he says what's more blissful, auspicious is having association. That's exactly what he uses it even here in this sections. One of them, Esas Sivam Shusturu Arya Sangame. It's the most auspicious, hearing about the Lord in the 4th verse is saying about, association of the devotees. So that is what, the most makes more auspicious. And also in the very beginning, 2nd verse, he says, okay, I need to wanted Mahatma Mantar, wanted to hear from the great devotees, because their heart is filled with all the nectar. Like, Nakamayena datatapiham kwachim nayatra yusma charanam bhutasava mahattamanta hridaya mukhachuto vidasva karnai tameshamevara. So they have the nectar, and then I wanted to have, hear from them, Mahatma, that they are the great devotees, and I wanted to have association with them, and wanted to hear from them. And then he's saying that they make us to surrender to the Lord. They are always in the Bhavat Padan Smarlad. In the 7th verse, he's saying, Bhajanti atatvam at eva sadhu yudusta maya guna vipramodyam Bhavat Padanusmaranadrate satam nimitta manyat bhagwan navitmahe. He's talking about the sadhu, the great saintly persons. They always, engage in the devotional service. That's how they get liberated from the maya guna. Just the maya guna vibramodhyam. They get liberated from that, all these the modes, because they are Bhavat Padan Smarana Rate Satatam. They always engage in your service of the lotus feet. So that's what, is the sadhus. So he has glorified, we should have association of the, devotees. We should hear from them. And if you do not hear, then you are, animal. So the only way that we can get more advanced in the devotion is the association of the devotees. So the last one that Prthu Maharaj uses in the discuss is the lalsamai, which is the desire, right? We have our desires, we want what we want. So it's a part of the prayers, explained. And Prthu Maharaj starts his desires very beginning, very first words he starts what he wants it. Basically means what he does not want it. He starts with what he does not want. He starts with what he does not want. At the end, he asks the same service as Lord Lakshmi. So that, as being a devotee, it is very important. We should know what we want and what we does not want it. And just like, prohibitions and prescriptions, those are, very important. Even a human being, like if you want to be always happy, joy, enjoy, like you don't want any suffering, pain, it is not good, because a pain is part of the pleasure that that okay, there is something wrong. If unless until if you don't know the pain, that's a disease. You need to know the pain also, so you need to understand it. The same thing when you want to have desires, you also need to know what you wanted, what you don't want. At the same time, we should not be focused more on what we don't want, because unnecessarily, we'll have association. But at the same time, it makes us to be, to be away from those. So in the very first verse, he starts with, what he does not want. The Prthu Maharaj starts, Varan Vibodha Varadeshwara. We don't need any liberation. And he questions that Katham Brineti Guna Vikrayatman. Who wants it? Who the intelligent person does not want. Is only who has entangled into the material, Guna Vikra, associated with the gunas. Those only we want it. And then these are even available in this hellish planets. And then you can also give a liberation, but I do not want it. He is very clear in the beginning. He's glorifying the Lord, at the same time setting up, okay, what he does not, want it. So, and also one more thing is this liberation, any association, Prabhupada uses one word, any Janma Muttu Jara Vadi is all in all places, right? Except in the Krishna's abode. So any liberation, you get anything, you go and go to pious activities, go to Swarlo, come back, you have to go through all this. But the only one is when we are into the Krishna's abode, you do not have all these, you don't go through this cycle. So Prthu Maharaj is very clear. So that's why he's setting the very beginning. He does not want it, but he has expressed what he wanted, saying that, he does not, in the second verse, is, I do not want, nakamaye nada tatapi ham. I don't need this, neither I don't need now, or nor in the future, nayatra, or nayatra, I don't need anywhere. So he is setting up that, very clear that, okay, your Lord, you are appear here, doesn't mean that, okay, I'm fulfilled it and then I need it later. No, I don't need anything. All I need is association of devotees to hear from their nectar, because that's the only one it can make you to the path. And he says, I need you to hear, I need to have a karnai, vidisho karnai. We need to have the ears, 1,000 ears. Means he has to want to hear from all the devotees. And then in the fifth verse, he sets it what actually his desire is. Hearing to the one leads to the association, and that have remembrance, and then you will have a service. The devotion service is only the doing a service to the Lord. He has sets in the fifth verse, Athabhajese akila purushottama gunalayam padmakare valalasa apavayore kospati sprudhuha nasyat kritacha charanai katanayo. He wants to kritacha charanai katanayo. He wants to do a service of his to this Lord God's feet. So he is glorifying the Lord that, you are Akila Purushottama, and then you has, qualities, Kulanayam. So you have a full of qualities of, qualities, and then Lord Lakshmi is is with you with lotus feet, with lotus flower, and then I wanted to serve you. And then he's also saying that, okay, if I need to serve you, then there will be a competition to a law, to the Lakshmi. That's what he's saying. But you can, help me because I am the most insignificant. You need my service, not her. So he says, Karosi Falgu Apayur. I'm the most insignificant, and then you are the most, Dinavachala. So, and he questions that, Swadishne, you are fulfilled, everything, you are self-sufficient. And then Virat, you don't need any other service from anyone, but you need my insignificant service to you. And at the end, then he concludes it. Okay, I've asked for, association of devotees. I asked for, want my remembrance, and I want to serve you, and you need to, take my insignificant service. But at the end, he concludes it that it's a verse that actually has put in my heart that that is the practice we need to do. Say, Vanmayaya janaisha kandito edanyadasa statatmanobud etcharit bala hitam pita swayam tatatvam evarshina samihitam. He's saying, oh Lord, Vanmayaya janish, with all of them are entrapped within your, because of your energies, illusion energies. Everybody is in condition, and then they are all engaged in that material sense gratification. But just like as a father who takes care of a son, idachares bala hitam pita swayam tatatvam he, you take care of, you give me what is the best for me. So this is most applicable, to me from now on to practice. Okay, yes, when I go to the Lord, yes, I have long list tasks, but at the same time, oh Lord, give me what is the best for me. I may, insignificant. I don't understand what I needed, but what you think is the best, and give me that. So he uses that, and he uses that. Okay, just like a father, even in Gajendra starts that, he is, Om Namo Bhagavate Bhagavate Tasmai Etachida Etachitatmakam Purushaya Adibijaya Paresha Vidimi. The Ganesha states, okay, you are the beginning, seed-giving father. And that, then, this whole consciousness is because of, yours present in her. Same thing here, Prthu Maharaj concludes it as a prayer saying, okay, you are the father, taken well-wisher being her. So please mercy us, whatever is best for me. So this, this Prthu Maharaj is in the 9 process of bhakti. We make example of Archana. So, and these verses are in this Kali Yuga, Archana is the practicing and then chanting of Krishna, Hare Krishna mantra. So also these verses are the most practical to us, in this year. These are not any extraordinary, anything that we cannot practice it. Like, in Queen Quinty said, okay, give me the calamities, those are most, very difficult. We can't even think of about it because we wanted to get away. But these verses are very more practical that, we can remember, memorize, practice it, and then keep it in our prayers that, oh Lord, give us what is the best for you. So with that, I'll conclude, and then, Rohini will have a relation about our verse.
Hare Krishna devotees, Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhuji. In this chapter, like Prabhupada mentioned, verses from 2nd to almost 20, 22 or 21st verses, like Bhagavan is praising to Prthu Maharaj. That was attracted to me. Of course, Prthu Maharaj, Prabhuji already covered, but I attracted these things, like how Bhagavan spoke those many verses, like those many qualities about Prthu Maharaj. In that, like, I was connected more about the 16th verse. Varam chamat kanchana manavendra vrunishvateham gunasila yantritaha naham makhairvai sulabhastapobhi yogena vayat samachittavarti. Translation, the translation, like, Lord is praising to Prthu Maharaj about his elevated qualities and behavior. It is how he is favorable to the devotees means his elevated qualities and behavior, not austerities or sacrifices what they did. Of course, Prthu Maharaj, he did 100 sacrifices for the well-beings of his kingdom people. It is not easy, and just not for his good well-wishing, for others well-wishing, he spent and he did 100 sacrifices. That quality and is not only that doing with qualities and behavior. What are those qualities? I was reading the purport, the Prabhupada mentioned that kind to everyone, does not quarrel with anyone, fixed in the absolute truth, equal to everyone, faultless, charitable, mild, clean, simple, benevolent, peaceful, completely attached to Krishna, has no material hankering, meek, steady, self-control, does not eat more than required, sane, respectful, humble, grave, compassionate, friendly, poetic, expert, silent. These are all, since Prthu Maharaj is an expert, exalted devotee, not only doing for good things, and he has these qualities are attracted to Lord. So as a humans, since we are in Kali Yuga, I'm talking about myself, how to develop these things to become a pure devotee. Becoming a devotee is a blessing. To become another, next level, to get to the next level, that means a pure devotee. To at the time of death, how to connect to the Lord. With this quality only, he will connect directly to us. So with the association, it is possible consistently. You don't need to be weekly, 5 days, and since I am a grihastha, I cannot do that. So possibility, consistently, weekly once, consistent. And that's servicing, when we are doing with the service, these qualities, these are all, since we are in part and parcel of the Lord, these qualities are inside, hidden. That will come when we are fixed our mind to do only for the service for Krishna, anything, then it is possible. That's what I was thinking. Whatever we have, we need to keep it that, keep doing that. And whatever we are lacking, we are a negative, we are in that part, that we need to cut it down when the situation comes. And we face it as a grihastha, so we deal with many situations, many type of people, many modes, and inside us and outside, that we need to remember these qualities. That's what I felt and I want to learn also. And thank you to Prabhu Maharaj and Lord, giving such a clear clarification that the qualities and only will attract it to Lord, not other things. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. I'm giving to Ramtita Prabhu. Thank you so much. This opportunity, it's all lack of knowledge. Thank you so much. If anything, it did it's all came from the association of the pure devotee. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, you have anything to say?
Mataji, no, thank you. Thank you, Mataji, for giving opportunity.
So thank you, Tirtha Prabhu, and thank you, Rohini Mataji, for giving that end summary. Prabhu, you shared wonderful points, and you approached it a little different. So we can see how the same prayers can be approached in a different way. And you started with saying that there are 10 elements to a prayer, but you highlighted 4 of them. And the 4 that you highlighted were direct prayers to the Lord, expressing one's humility to the Lord, revealing the greatness of a Vaishnava, glorifying the Vaishnava, a great Vaishnava, and expressing our desire to serve the Lord. And then how each of this point you elaborated, how Prthu Maharaj actually, through the verses of his prayers in Canto 4, Chapter 20, verses 23 through 31, how Prthu Maharaj is actually glorifying the Lord. The first point, glorification of the Lord, always giving the credit to the Lord, engaged in addressing the Lord. You use the words from the verses Vibhu, omnipotent. He gives boons. Kaivalya Pate, he gives benedictions. His Uttama Shloke, he's glorified that way with the choicest words. And then he's, of course, Dinavatsala and Jagadisha. And all these are used to establish the greatness of the Lord. And by glorifying the Lord, you said it purifies us. So it's very important. And then the second point was expressing humility, is to understand our tiny position and the Lord's greatness. Otherwise, we'll be blocked by our false ego, which will lead to pride and ultimately fall down. So you mentioned, you quoted some verses from Bhagavad Gita, the qualities, the 20 qualities from the 13th chapter, verse 8, of one who is in knowledge. And if we have forgotten the Lord, we have forgotten the Lord, and therefore association of the Lord and devotees is very important. Then you said about the third point, which is glorifying the Vaishnava, great Vaishnava, and glorifying their association also, right? It's through their association we make progress in our spiritual life. And what is the most painful thing? No association of devotees. And the most blissful thing is association of devotees, and that brings about most auspiciousness in our life. So Prthu Maharaj wants how he wants to hear from great devotees, because by hearing from great devotees, they help us to surrender to the Lord more, and they are already liberated from the three modes and always engaged in the service of the Lord. And then the fourth point is how lolium, or the desire, the greed to serve the Lord. Prthu Maharaj started that in the very beginning, and he knows what he wants. If you express that, he's very clear on what he wants, what he does not want. And as devotees, practicing devotees, we should also be very clear what we want, what we do not want. And we should not focus on what we do not want or what is not conducive for our spiritual life. So, and he does not want, so he's very clear in those set of verses that you mentioned. Prthu Maharaj is very clear, he does not want liberation now or in the future. All he wants is association and service to the Lord. And then you concluded, I think towards the end, saying that hearing leads to remembrance, and remembrance then leads to service to the Lord, rendering service to the Lord. So Prthu Maharaj, just as a father, is telling the Lord that just as a father takes care of the child, you give me what's best for me. You know, just as a father knows what is best for the child, Krishna or Lord, you know what is best for me. And Mataji also summarized that we need to keep doing our services by remembering the qualities expressed by Prthu Maharaj. So thank you so much for the wonderful presentation, Prabhu and Mataji. And with that, we'll conclude today's BhagavatSanga program. We will start with next set of prayers, a new set of prayers, actually, from next week onwards. Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining, devotees.